this is Abe Cannon from The Abe Cannon Show, and you're listening to the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.
What's up? This is the Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Hoppy.
And I'm Ryan Stupprich.
Call the show to get involved. 630-403-5200. That's 630-403-5200. And on the phone line, we have one of my favorite comedians and radio personalities out of Cleveland. Chad Zumock is on the line. What's up, Chad?
I'm blushing. That was too nice.
And I am being honest because I am an honest man. So how has everything been in Cleveland, like with your shows and that?
Yeah, Cleveland right now is the talk of the world. Everybody knows about Cleveland. Obviously, you heard LeBron James retired.
Yeah, exactly. It's just weird to see him go back to Cleveland. Like, what is the buzz like been in town?
I had a show scheduled the day he announced on Twitter he was coming home, and I called off the shows, and I'd never have done that in my 10-year stand-up career because I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be downtown. I wanted to feel the electricity. There were strangers hugging, people crying, cars honking. It looked like we won the NBA championship. It was an unbelievable feeling, and I mean, you can't buy a better experience than what I got to experience back home here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Now, Chad, I saw you on Twitter a few weeks before it happened. You kept saying, I have these inside sources. LeBron James is coming back to the Cavs. And I'll be honest, I didn't really roll back my eyes, but I found it hard to believe. And when it ended up being true, I found newfound respect for you when it comes to the inside sources. What is it like when you're one of the first guys to break the news that King James is returning to Cleveland?
Listen, I understand everyone being, everybody being cynical when it comes to, comedian Chad Zumock breaking news stories. But if you go scroll through my timeline, I was one of the first guys to tell everyone Mike Brown got fired too. I have a guy who works for the organization. He's worked closely with Dan Gilbert for, over 10 years. I won't tell his name, but I've been very connected to the Cavaliers organization for a long, long time. I know a lot of people that work there. I know people that work in Dan Gilbert's suite, and I've been very connected to the team. So this person would tip me off on things all the time. I covered the draft on WTAM 1100 one year. Here we selected Dion Waiters, and at the beginning of the draft, my guy says they're going with Dion Waiters if he's still available, which he was. And Mike Snyder and Andre Knott at the time were just like, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And then when we drafted him, they looked at me like I was a genius. So, I'm a comedian because, it pays the bills, but I'm also a diehard Cavs fan, an NBA fan, and I've made a lot of friends on the Cavaliers, former Cavaliers. So, I mean, my sources are better than just about anybody else is out there, and I'll stand by them.
And now that LeBron is on the Cavaliers, what do you think he can bring to this Cavs team along with Kyrie Irving and if Andrew Wiggins stays around him too?
Let me tell you something, man. You're going to watch some exciting basketball. These guys are young. They're fast. Can you believe how fast this team's going to be with Dion Waiters, Kyrie Irving, and, if we keep Wiggins, that's another piece. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this, what's funny? I was talking to my friend today on the phone, and I said, what? Even if LeBron James wasn't here and there wasn't this amazing story about him coming home, he's exactly what the Cavaliers need. A small forward, veteran leadership, a guy who can pass, rebound. He is the missing piece to the puzzle, and I really do think the organization isn't done. I believe that Kevin Love deal will go down.
And now I want to get your take on this. There were people who were burning the jerseys, as everyone knows, and there were radio shows that were hating on him and having witchcrafts on him, saying he'll never win a ring. Is it weird to see all the hate he got 4 years ago and now he's back? Or is Cleveland just happy that King James returned? What's going on?
Ryan, if you did a little show prep on Chad Zumock, you would realize I was the guy burning the jersey. I was the guy hating on him on Cleveland radio. I was a heartbroken man. I knew all our chances for a championship were gone in one decision. And listen, I'm a grown man, and grown men make mistakes, and I will tell you right now, I am sorry, LeBron James. And guess what? It's all is well in Cleveland, and all is forgotten.
And since you said you're an NBA fan, the Bulls, of course, improved their team a little bit. I know they lost out on Carmelo Anthony, but I mean, we could see a really good thing in the East now with the Cavs and Bulls trying to have multiple runs at trying to get to the NBA Finals.
Well, if you think about it, it's almost like the early '80s, early '90s, or late '80s, early '90s Cleveland Bulls rivalry, but in reverse. Except we have Michael Jordan now, if that makes sense. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, the addition of Paul Gasol is going to really put them over the edge. And you know, I think Derrick Rose, from what I understand, is at 100%.
Yes.
And it could be a lot of fun to watch that. And if they could resurrect that magical feeling of the old Cavs days and Michael Jordan, that's going to be a lot of fun for NBA fans.
Now we have Cleveland comedian Chad Zumock on the phone right now. And I want to ask you this. What is your take on the new coach, David Blatt? Will he take over this team, or will this be LeBron James coaching and it's another Eric Spoelstra? What is your take?
Well, I did a little research on that guy because I got to admit I was not very familiar with his work. I mean, I had heard about him. And from everything I've read on the guy is awesome at developing young talent, working with players. He has former players that love him. They adore him. And the addition, what people don't understand, Tyronn Lue is one of the most, he's the most paid assistant coach in the NBA, and the reason why is because he was almost named head coach. He's a student of the game, and LeBron James is very, very close to Tyronn Lue. They're very close. In fact, he flew him to the NBA Finals. So I think one of the reasons James came was his relationship with Tyronn Lue, the assistant. And I think they're going to be a good offensive team, and I think that's where the NBA is going. It's going towards that Euro-style type basketball and team play. And you saw that with the Spurs in the finals.
Do you think there's any teams in the East that are more scary than the Cavaliers and Bulls, like any other teams that can compete with those two teams?
Well, I mean, you can't. I know there was a lot of talk about the Heat and how they felt. I mean, they're still going to be a good team.
Right.
I mean, they got winners on there, and you know, LeBron makes a lot of people better. But at the same time, I think Chris Bosh can go back to his natural position, and you know, with the addition of Danny Granger and a few other pieces, they're going to still be a team to contend with. And obviously the Knicks. I think I like what Phil Jackson's doing over there. I think the Knicks are on the upside, and you're going to see some good basketball out of New York.
Now let's move on to the Browns. You guys finally get a good draft pick or a big name in Johnny Manziel, and this is a team that has gone through 20 quarterbacks, and now there's some huge controversy from last week as TMZ had that picture of him with a rolled up dollar bill in a Vegas bathroom. What is your take on that? Because I'm not a Browns fan, but if I was one, I'd be a little worried.
I don't know who Johnny Manziel's parents are. I know he comes from money, but they need to slap that kid upside the head. It's just stop it already. Listen, you can do what you want on your free time, but the guy obviously wants to be a celebrity. I mean, do we draft a quarterback or do we draft a Kardashian? I mean, come on. Like, let's focus on what's on the field, and everybody goes and has a good time. That's fine. Joe Namath, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, was a big Broadway Joe, owned a bar. But you're in a new day and age of social media, the Instagrams, the Twitter. You know, you gotta basically handle your business first, and then you party. That's my take.
And now you have another guy on the Browns that is making even more controversy, and he seems to be in trouble every day with Josh Gordon. Why does he keep screwing up, and is there any chance for him to fix it? Or is this guy just another example of a guy that could be a lot better if he was straight-laced? What is your take?
Josh Gordon, man, I feel for that kid. You know what? That guy's an incredible talent. Nobody could deny that. That guy is just an amazing athlete. And for some reason or another, I read a little bit about the DUI charge, and I think it's blown way out of proportion. I think they said he blew a .009. And listen, I mean, I'll always fight, but a few years back, that was considered that was legal to drive under. So, I mean, the marijuana charges and all that, I don't know. I mean, I think the kid needs to get his life in order before he worries about his football career.
Now let's turn to the Cleveland Indians real quick. Do you think that they could have a good second half and possibly overtake Detroit or have a chance at a wild card this year?
The Indians. They're still in Cleveland?
Right.
No, I got to tell you, with all the news of LeBron, and it'll always be a Browns town. But and I love baseball, I always have. And I got to be honest with you, like they are such the third team in town right now. And I know, they got Terry Francona's a hell of a manager, and I personally think that we will make the playoffs. But I got to be honest with you, I don't care. I really don't. I'm all pumped up about the Cavs and Browns, and the Indians are. I'm more concerned about the Lake Erie Monsters, our hockey team.
Right.
And now, before we let you go, who is going to win the NBA championship next year? Is there any chance the Cavs could win it the first year LeBron James comes back? What is your take?
I got to tell you, LeBron James learned how to win when he was in Miami. He became a better man, a better player. And you get Kevin Love, and I've been preaching this all day. You get Kevin Love over here, you're going to be in the finals. I don't care who it's against. You're going to be in the finals. But you can't count out the Spurs. And listen, bravo to the San Antonio Spurs. They play beautiful basketball, the way basketball is supposed to be played.
Yeah, they did.
And I hope little kids, young people, watch the Spurs. Yeah, they're not on TMZ. They're not flashy, but that's how you play ball, man. And I think that's where the NBA is headed. Everyone's going to try to copy what San Antonio's doing, and you're going to see some great basketball. But I'm going Spurs.
Now, before we let you go, where can people find your work online and maybe some of your upcoming shows?
If you go to DaneCook.com, you can see my tour, my touring, and my vid. No, I'm just kidding.
I was a little confused.
No, it's ChadZumock.com for all my shows, and I'm on Twitter at ChadZumock, ZUMOCK. Yeah, I got a lot. I'm going to be traveling a lot this summer. I'm going to be going around the country. I was just in Chicago.
Really?
Like 3 weeks ago. I actually got to go. I saw a game in Wrigley Field. I was right behind home plate.
Oh,
nice. Cool. What do you think of this town? Do you like it overall?
Chicago is awesome. That's a great city. Yeah. It's like Cleveland on steroids. And I got to tell you, in the month of July, I went to 3 ballparks in the country. I went to the New York Yankee Stadium, I went to Marlins Park, and I went to Wrigley Field. And let me tell you something, Wrigley Field is baseball. That's what baseball's all about.
Exactly.
It smells like baseball. It feels like baseball. And I don't understand why they're always trying to build new parks and new stadiums. I'll go to Wrigley Field. It's like a museum. It's like that's what sports is all about. I mean, if you've never been to Wrigley Field, go to Wrigley Field. Take your kids. Go hang out there. It's what baseball is all about, and I love that. That's my second favorite baseball team. I grew up as a Mark Grace fan. I remember that whole team: Damon Berryhill, Ryan Sandberg, Andre Dawson, Luis Salazar.
I remember Luis Salazar. Yeah.
I come home, watch WGN. I'd sit there. I'd tape the games, and then those were the good old days. Don Zimmerman, Harry Carey, Steve Stone, and I'll always be a Cubs fan for my national team.
Well, Chad, thank you for coming on to Friday Sports Riot here on SportsTownChicago.com, and we'd love to have you on again soon to talk more about the Browns once the NFL season is closer.
Hey, Ryan, that was really nice words you said about me, and absolutely, and thanks so much for having me on, and I'm sorry we got the scheduling all messed up.
It's all good, man. Thank you, Chad.
Thanks.
Take care.
And that was Chad Zumock, and I was being honest and I was being real, because, Ryan, you know I'm edgy, I'm outspoken, but I was being honest when I say he's one of my favorite comedians. He's very funny. Check out his podcast at ChadZumock.com. It's called Sit Down Zumock. You can hear it anywhere in the world, on iTunes, rather. We will be right back on this Friday Sports Riot. We will wrap everything up and tell you guys where you can find our work after this on SportsTownChicago.com. Hang on.
The Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.
This is an official broadcast of Hoppy Radio. For more info, check out hoppyradio.com and hoppysworld.com.